The chances are, if you're watching this video, you're either new to your lifting journey, just beginning, or have been lifting for a couple years and still want to know if you're making mistakes. As someone who started their lifting journey twice, going from one physique to another, and then starting all over again, I can tell you the second time I made way less mistakes and I was able to progress way further than I did the first year that I was lifting. So in this video, I'm going to go over the 5 mistakes that specifically I made during my fitness journey and what you should do to not keep making these mistakes. Mistake number 1. Now, as a beginner, I would vary my workout splits quite frequently, and I never really stuck to just one to really get the foundation that I needed to progress in my lifting. So what I used to do was arm day, chest day, arm day, back day, arm day. And that was my workout split for a while. Then I started to incorporate some legs. And then I changed it to basically a bro split. Then I changed it again to an Arnold split. And I would change my exercises and everything that I did all the time. I was never really able to apply progressive overload in the way that I should have done. So that's why in my first year of lifting, I missed out on potential gains that I could have made if I stuck to one thing and built up my foundation properly. Make sure that you stick to one set workout split or routine, because as a beginner, it doesn't really matter. You don't know what your weaknesses are to add in certain days where, oh, I need to work on my shoulders because my shoulders aren't big enough. Oh, my lower lats are lacking. Let me do some more lower lats. You have no foundation. You have no idea what you're lacking in and what you're strong at. So just pick something, do it for 6 months. Then after 6 months, what are your weaknesses? Throw in some extra days, some extra exercises for your weaknesses are. Then you're able to progress on your weaknesses. And you basically just keep doing this. It's almost like a trial and error for a while, because the best workout split for me isn't going to be the same workout split that's going to be best for you. It's going to vary from person to person. Second mistake I made, which is probably going to spark a little bit of debate, but counting reps or not counting reps. So in my first year of training, I pretty much counted reps, and I would always aim to hit maybe 10, 12 reps. Sometimes higher, because I always thought the more reps I did, the more my muscles would grow. But that's not right. Towards the end of my second year of training, I just stopped counting reps and I just trained to failure or near to failure every time. Like, I know roughly when I'm hitting 5 reps, 10 reps. I don't track them and I don't train them. And to this day, I still don't. But a lot of people, when they count their reps, they hit 10 and then they just stop. But realistically, they could have hit 15. So they could have increased the weight. They could have decreased the reps, gone to failure, pushed their muscles further, and then more likely to stimulate muscle growth. They track their reps, they track the weight, but then they don't ever push themselves as much as they could. It's something I did in my first year of training that I didn't really benefit much from. But then when I started to stop counting and genuinely train to failure, that's when I started to seeing way more gains and my muscles start to increase in size and strength. Now, personally, I would still aim to hit the 5 to 10 rep range, maybe 12 sometimes. Anything in that range of a weight that I'm lifting and then pushing to failure, that's what I try and do. Because once I hit 8 to 10 reps of a weight comfortably, and I know if I increase the weight, I'm going to be able to do at least 4 or 5 good reps before hitting failure on that weight. Now, I'm not saying don't track your reps, don't track your weight, but I want to emphasize that you need to be training to or near failure in order to stimulate muscle growth. So then you can achieve the gains you want and you're not missing out on gains. Some people train for months and months, don't actually increase their size or strength too much, but if they were training properly, they would be way further along in their fitness journey. Now, apart from being inconsistent with my diet, another thing that I made a mistake of was trying to force myself to reach 4,000 calories, 3,500 calories as my goals every single day, because that's what I saw online. Like, all you see is 4,000 calorie full day of eating. So as someone that was new to gym and didn't know much about diet, I just tried to reach those and failed miserably over and over. And then that just began to demotivate me. That's probably why I was never consistent with my diet, because I just couldn't reach the goals that I was setting for myself. So instead, what I advise most beginners to do is 1, track your calories. Most hard gainers are just simply not going to be eating enough compared to what they think they are. Realistically, they're probably only eating like 2,000 to 2,500 calories a day. 1, track your calories and see how much you're currently eating. Then I want you to increase the calories by 200 to 300 for 1 week. So every day you're in a 200 to 300 calorie surplus compared to what you was eating. Now, once you increase your intake from 2 to 300, it's a much more achievable goal than suddenly increasing your calorie intake by 1,000, 1,500, maybe even 2,000 in some cases. Now, once you're comfortable eating 2 to 300 calories extra compared to what you were previously eating, then increase it by another 2 to 300. So now your stomach is used to eating way more. Your habits have started to change in, okay, I'm gonna eat at this time, this time, this time to make sure I hit my calorie intake goals. Now your habits are set in place. All you have to do is maybe add in another snack, add in another small meal, make the meals potentially a little bit larger, add a little bit more rice, more carbs, more potatoes, whatever it is. And then suddenly you've increased your calorie intake per day by 800 within a couple of weeks without suddenly making that huge jump. The whole thing with a fitness journey is it's little steps that progressively over time build up with your habits that are gonna make you achieve the goals that you want to achieve. Nothing's gonna happen instantly. It takes consistency, discipline, and dedication for you to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. Now, if you're someone who solely tries to focus on lifting heavy weights in the gym and you're in a hurry to always keep increasing the weight, yes, you want to apply progressive overload. However, at the same time, you want to do it with good form, good technique. Ego lifting is probably the most common gym mistake that you see from every individual. Now, let me tell you this. As someone who, used to lift or struggle to lift the bar alone, and I look back, I'm pretty sure the guys back then didn't care that I was struggling to lift like 40 kg bench. It probably wasn't even that. It was probably like 30. Now, do you think that guy remembers how much I was lifting back then? No, he probably doesn't even know I exist. So what does it matter that you're struggling to lift just the bar on bench, or you're struggling to do 10 kg on bicep curls? Well, for all I care, you could be lifting 2 kg with perfect form. But even in the gym now, I don't really notice what people are lifting, or if they are lifting weight, I don't care. They're going on their journey and at least they're doing it correctly. Yes, ego lifting to some extent in terms of pushing yourself to lift heavier is fine. But doing it to a point where you're going to cause yourself injury, then it's just going to set you back. Then you have to rest. Then you have to recover. Then you have to build up your strength again. And then it's going to take longer than it would have in the first place. And believe me, I hated it. Taking months and a year off gym, it was miserable. Like I didn't know what to do with myself. I was bored all the time. But when it comes to increasing muscle size, exercise form is going to be way more important than just lifting heavy weight. Like back when I used to be able to do 38s, my form was horrific. Now, I'm lifting, if I lift 38s with good form, guess which one has the bigger chest? The one with the better form. Just because you're lifting heavier doesn't mean you're applying hypertrophy correctly. You need to have very strict form to target the specific muscle group that you want to target. And then when you hit on to the next weight, you want to keep that exact form. You don't want to be throwing up the weights. You don't want to be using momentum to bring up the weights. Otherwise, your muscles aren't going to be working as good as they can. And then you're not going to get as big as you want. And let's be honest, all of us just want to get bigger. Just stop caring what other people think about how heavy you lift and just lift for yourself. Improve from the past months, the past weeks that you've been lifting, and just focus solely on that. It's not about anyone else. It's your journey, it's your physique, and it's your strength that you want to build. Last mistake number 5. Now, I can't stress how important this is, but not getting enough rest. When I first started lifting, I got injured. But part of the reason was I just wasn't resting enough. I would think, oh, if I'm not hitting gym, if I'm not lifting weights, then I'm not gonna grow. But before, I probably went 6, maybe even 7 days thinking, oh, I just need to push myself. And then I took a rest day. It also goes to show that I wasn't training with enough intensity for a very long time. Even though, yes, I didn't count my reps, like I said earlier, I still wasn't pushing completely to failure. Otherwise, I would have needed rest days way sooner than I was actually taking them. Our muscles require a combination of resistance training, proper nutrition, I mean, you could include supplements, but let's not. And then rest. So what do you need to do? Just rest. Take a day off gym. Do something else that you want to do. Yes, I understand it's like an outlet for a lot of people, and you know, you kind of just want to get away and just get in your zone, or you know, suffer in pain, you know, all the regular gym bro stuff you see all over social media. But take a rest day, go for a walk outside, you know, do something else. Maybe you want to do a little bit of cardio then. Or for me, on my rest days, I tend to just focus on, you know, maybe a little bit of calisthenics, but not too much. Or I kind of just, you know, work on my flexibility, my mobility, just to keep my joints and muscles, you know, pretty athletic. Otherwise, they start to stiffen up, and you know, you end up not even being able to move your arm higher than this, or you can't touch your elbows or your back anymore, which I know is the dream.